So yesterday we had Fire and Fury author Michael Wolff, who is public enemy #1 to you-know-who at the White House. And it has the new guy so steamed up, he is calling America's libel laws a sham and a disgrace, and wants to make it easier for people to sue media organizations and publishers for making libelous claims. Now, my question is, you sure you really want to do that? Because I think we have like a magic list of a few people who may want to just take you to court first.
Meghan McCain?
Yeah, I mean, you look it up. Yeah.
Why am I on there? Joy?
Yeah,
I'm on that list.
Yeah, you're on the list.
Things that are have been said and that can be, you know, that are libelous, could be libelous if somebody decided that they're going to change the law. You know, Barack Obama, #1, could just, you know, dude, he showed you everything.
Yeah. I was just reminded by our producer in my earpiece, Trump said I'd never make it on TV. You were wrong. Because I was very hard on him.
There's a difference between, you know, slander and libel, because mostly he doesn't
slander
read.
is spoken.
He doesn't read or write. It's mostly slander. He says.
But according to his criteria for doing this, he would be the first person on the people would be lining up to take you to court.
What you left off the list, the entire country of Mexico, for example. What about that?
Well, we thought
sue him for defamation on that one.
We figured because we didn't put the media organization. There's a lot of folks that could step up, but we just wanted to give you food for thought.
So why does he go out there and say these things to you? Why?
And it's not true. I mean, he has no chance of changing the defamation laws in the country. I mean, they run state to state, and there's no federal defamation laws. So it's really shocking to me. But what I did find out is he has filed over 4,000 lawsuits in 30 years, and he has never once won a defamation case against all the people he's filed.
Well, but, you know, I mean, here's the bottom line. If you're in the public eye, people say things about you. And especially, I mean, how many books came out about Bush? How many came out about, I mean, 100, you know, grow a pair. You say you're the guy that's leading the country. This is what happens. Just grow up.
But, you know, I do think we need to be very concerned about what he is trying to do, because what he's trying to do, I think, is akin to censoring people. Because when you look at the dictatorships, those are the people, those are the places where you get into trouble for speaking out against the government, and you do get put in jail. So when you hear our president saying things like, I'm going to try to strengthen these defamation laws, what he's really saying is, I don't want people to criticize me. And I think we need to be very careful here.
But fortunately, we have a system of checks and balances. There's a constitution. There are laws that say you can't do this.
He's 24, correct? As we just said. And you know, I'm always curious about really young millennials' take on President Trump, because you sort of grew up during the Obama years, and now we have an entirely different president.
He doesn't represent our generation very well, because we don't think the way he thinks, and it really makes it difficult to want to be a part of things. You know what I mean? Like, we're at the age, I'm definitely at the age where that is becoming very paramount in my life, where I have to really make an active, take an active look at what's going on in the world around me if I actually want to see a change. And so when you look and you see all this, you know, for lack of better words, buffoonery going on, it makes you feel like, how realistic is it? No, seriously, how realistic is it for me to actually make a change where I'm at? How can I actually do something when this is what's being taken seriously? My president is on the damn Twitter, you know, slandering folks and acting like a troll.
Yeah.
How can I, you know, what can I do with that? You know?
The question I have for you, honestly, is where we get our news and how we consume our news has completely changed. And we had Michael Wolff on yesterday, obviously, and there are a lot of things that we pointed out that are inaccurate or being debunked by the people he claims to quote. So the question I have for you is, what media outlets do you trust?
Yeah, I don't know if I trust that many. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of the thing with social media having such a playing a big part in that, is that one thing you think is real and the next minute is completely fake. And I think that we are in a place now where we really just say, this is what I choose to decide to believe. And I think that actually is a good thing. It really does make people start thinking more independently and stop just going to the...
I don't agree with that.
Well, for me it does, because I don't just say, I turn on CNN and just say, this is true because CNN said it, where there was a time where that is what people did.
So you question more.
You question it
I think that's healthy, and I actually think she is pretty representative of millennials right now.
Because facts are facts, and there are outlets out there like let's say I'll take for a better argument the New York Times, the Washington Post, and other sources like that have been around for over almost 200 years. You listen to those rather than people who just pop
that's
up
what I mean. You make a choice to decide of like, okay, if this is something that I actually trust or not.
But the question I have,
you know what I'm saying? You can't just trust everything.
Most liberals trust the New York Times. Maggie Haberman, who's one of the main journalists of the New York Times, came out very harshly against Michael Wolff in that book yesterday.
What exactly did
one
she
of the
take
points that I came out,
with?
David Brooks did. Maggie Haberman, I am not a liberal. I don't love the New York Times. She is a amazing journalist.
But what
She's an
about
incredible
the book
journalist.
that she take issue with?
Yeah.
I can't triple quote her. She said it on television. But I'm just saying, you're having journalists within organizations question things as well.
But you expect that. You expect that. Listen, you can question and say, hey, some of this I don't think is accurate. But you take what is accurate and you weigh it. And you go, this is way too much stuff that is accurate for you to be doing this. This is ridiculous.
So the book rings true because we've seen him on television with our own eyes.
And I think what's interesting is if you have, Kiki's saying that, like, I don't really trust anyone, which I think is indicative of a lot of young. I'm an old millennial. I'm 33, and I grew up during a time when, there was a lot more trust and faith in our journalists, in our media institutions, in what our president says on television, and it's a really interesting idea that when you're my age,
this president
I still trust journalists.
I trust myself the most.
He's chipping away at people's trust every minute. So he's making everything that he doesn't agree with or that talks negatively about him fake news.
There is a war on journalists.
Maggie Haberman said his narrative isn't true and he gets basic facts wrong.
I believe he's at his 2000th lie this year, according to
2000.
Yeah, I believe. So how do you believe him?
I was just going to say, I'm very concerned about the war on journalism and journalists. That we're hearing over and over again. I don't trust journalists. I don't trust the media, and I caution people because there are wonderful journalists that I work with every single day, like Anderson Cooper, like Walter.
It's just like what you said. You have to hear the information. You have to filter through with your own self and your own ability to know that, okay, I'm collecting this information, I'm collecting that information, this is what I think is right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to still...
Let's not always attack journalists because it's a very difficult job to do, and they're on the front lines right now, making sure that we do know the truth and we know facts.
If you watch the movie The Post, which is out now,
it's fantastic.
You will see what she's talking about. Without the press, you have no country. You have no democracy. It's as simple as that.
This is the first time in my life where a president is actively trying to kill the press off.
Yes.
It's the first time that and Nixon used to make barbed, but it was a different kind of force because people understood where the press was and what they did in the country. I feel like once we started putting together a 24-hour news cycle, that facts became more floaty. Because at 6 o'clock, this was the fact, but the person is not watching the same newscast at 6 o'clock that they watched at 3. So things are shifting and moving, and then we have a guy who says, it's all a lie. He doesn't say, listen, I've put a lot of this BS myself out there. Because I've said some stuff that just isn't correct. And we've showed it on the show where he said, dude, you did say this. And he's consistent in saying, no, this never happened. So we are now kind of like this. And I think even no matter who you read, you have to check more than one source because it's too hard. It's too bloody hard no matter who you're watching. Check the other side and see what's going on with there. And then in the middle, there is somewhere is the truth. It is in the middle. We will be right back with more Hot Topics.